and roll, man.
You grew up with rock and roll?
Yes.
All right.
Well, that and
speaking of rock and roll,
Tub, yeah. What happened? What happened?
we're on. We're live.
Cool.
Hey guys.
Good to be alive.
We're back, and I'm with Mr. Truck from MrTruck.com. Did I get that right?
Yeah, Mr.
Hey.
Truck.com.
All right, far out. We got an interesting topic today, guys, because today we're going to be talking about trucks that are set up for off-roading but are two-wheel drive.
And that's an interesting concept because I was surprised when Ford announced that. I thought, man, but I looked at my history. 45 years ago, that's what I had, was all two-wheel drives. In the country, we didn't have four-wheel drives. They didn't have four-wheel drives in the 60s.
They didn't invent them back in
Or
the
the
day.
50s, a few in the 70s, and that's when I was doing all that. And all we did is put chains on the back of them. We were lucky if we had limited slip. Of course, this is not limited slip. This is a locker. This is a real
Which is
rear end.
really good to
Yes.
have. But here's the thing. Now, back in my day, I'm a little tiny bit younger than you. They did have some Baja off-road type trucks.
All those Volkswagen things.
Not just Volkswagens, but yes, that's a good start. Sure, Volkswagens, but other trucks as well that were rear drive. They had lockers, and they were built for desert running. I'm from California. That's what we did. A lot of desert running, right?
Yeah.
And that goes all the way back to the 80s. In fact, do you remember there was a truck that was built by Mazda that had a rotary engine in it? Do you remember the rotary little Mazda? Yeah, that's right. I took one of those off-road.
He said.
Wankle. And I took one of those off-road, and it was a monster. I mean, it doesn't weigh anything, and it just revs like crazy.
Yeah.
But even back then, back in the 80s, they actually had a lot of trucks that were built by automakers to a certain degree to be sort of like off-road runners, but not four-wheel drive.
Right.
And that was kind of giving the people in certain places everything they wanted without actually having the drag and the expense of a four-wheel drive truck.
Well, that's just it. The expense and all that. I mean, it's at least $2,000 for four-wheel drive option plus.
Exactly.
And hopefully 2 to 3 miles a gallon better fuel mileage. I mean, this Ranger might get 26. Well, aren't the guys who race those trucks now, they jump over the hills? Those are two-wheel drives, aren't they?
No, it depends. Some of stadium trucks.
Yeah.
Some of them are two-wheel drive and some are four-wheel drive. They actually have a whole bunch of these guys who are crazy enough to go on pavement and jump these trucks. I've seen them in Vegas before. It's crazy.
Yeah, because I remember we went to a Nissan event and they had some guy jumping over us with one of those, and he was saying, don't tell anybody, but this is a two-wheel drive. I'm like, okay, I won't tell anybody. But anyway, too, like even the dualies back on the farm, you just pull the outside duals off and we could go anywhere. It's amazing. Now, of course, I feel bad because I own 3 four-wheel drives. And every time I buy one, I keep thinking, no, wait a minute, do I really need another four-wheel drive? Do I really need another snow plow? And I use it maybe 3 times a year. So a lot of the times, just like on the farm, I could get by without it. But it just depends how often you go to the mountains and is there ice and snow. I mean, there's a lot of reasons you get hooked on four-wheel drive, but I tell you what, if you're buying a first one with this the FX2 package, sounds pretty cool. Do you see all the stuff that's on it? It's a loaded puppy.
Yeah, it's got a ton of stuff, and we're going to hit that in just a sec, but it's not just the Ford Ranger that has this package. Other competitors have this as well available, and it's not just mid-sized trucks, it's also half-ton trucks that are available with this. So we're going to talk about in this little broadcast, we're going to talk about the new Ram EcoDiesel and how it looks against the competition as well. So that's another important thing, so stay tuned for that in this show.
Getting back to 3 diesels in the half tons now. I'm so happy.
That's right. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about Super Chat, where we're going to answer your questions, as many as we can. Zach is manning behind the camera right now, so we're going to try to get to a couple of them. And also, guys, if you donate to us, you get some thank you items. That's including, which is not available here today, but there is a TFL truck and or car sticker. It's not on the back of this one. They took they took them all.
Stickers are gone.
Yeah,
the patch. I got patches.
Yes, and the patches are 25, and then the hat is 50, and we'll sign it if you want us to. And then we have
that. Oh, there it is.
Glorious sweater.
It's a hoodie, man.
It is a hoodie, and it has our emblems everywhere. Roman likes to badge, so everywhere on the sleeves, you name it. $199 for this. Probably not the most comfortable thing right now in the middle of summer. However, when winter hits, it will be mighty, mighty comfortable. And remember, all that money goes to help us out. Yeah. It's the only way we can afford to pay Mr. Truck and Cigars.
You could sleep in that. That could be your pajamas. That their hoodie. That would work.
They are pretty comfortable.
They're actually really comfortable.
When you're not wearing them in 90-degree weather.
My teen already ripped mine off and wears it far too often. Okay, so let's continue. And let's talk about that FX2 package.
Yes, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's $595 for. Look at all the goodies you get. Well, you got off-road tires and wheels. That's normal. That's the suspension, those body plates, the skid plates, and it's got those gauges that tells you, the angle of departure and all that neat stuff.
And it's got one important thing.
Oh, the most important thing.
Yep. Locking rear diff. I love that.
Yes, that is. So that's actually a really good package for that. I think that's a bargain for $595. But
I agree 100%. Now, you do not get the terrain management system or trail control. But the whole point about that is that those are for the four-wheel drive ones, right?
yes, yeah.
So what are you going to do? Control two wheels on the back? I mean, it doesn't really make much sense. This system, this setup, makes a ton of sense because the Ranger FX2 is $5,295 cheaper than upgrading to the 4x4 Ranger with the FX4 package.
That's a lot of cabbage.
That is a ton of cabbage.
If you think about payments, man, that's good. Gosh, that's $30 a month or whatever.
Oh, it's a lot more than that if you're doing short payments too.
Yeah, because if you get the Ranger and just get the four-wheel drive version of the Ranger, period, that's $4,000, and then you have to pay $1,295 to get the FX4 package.
Right.
But I'm still struggling to work out why this is less than half of that when you get 75% or more of the content of the FX4.
Well, it's half the drive. It's only a two-wheel drive. Cut that in half. That's all there is to the math.
Ford works in mysterious ways, Zach. They don't do things normal.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Now, in Colorado, I know you were saying you don't always use your four-wheel drive system. I use it every chance I get. I just come up with excuses. Oh, my neighbor needs to be plowed. Four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
The thing is that if you live in Florida or in Georgia or in California, Southern California, you really don't need four-wheel drive that much. And so having something like this makes a lot of sense because you can go canyon running. You can lock up the rear diff if you get a little stuck, and it'll help you out.
Yeah.
It's really, really good for basic off-roading and for doing, running in the dunes, going over dirt trails, bouncing over, small rocks. So I think that for a lot of people out there who want the look, and a lot of the capability, this makes a ton of sense.
Well, it's got all the skid plates on. You got to chase coyotes and sagebrush. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something you really go out there and try to tear the crap out of. I love it. I had the FX4 the week before the Ranger. So then I was going through how great that was, and all of a sudden they show up with this. I was totally caught by surprise. I had no idea it was coming. They're sneaky, those rascals at Dearborn.
Yeah, they are, and they like to drop stuff on us at the last minute. And before you know it, they're going to throw that massive new GT500 engine inside of a Ford Ranger.
Really?
You heard it here first.
The GT500? Holy, that's got twin turbos, doesn't it?
You know who's driving that right now, as we speak?
Who?
The guy who's not sitting here.
He's driving a what?
Andre's
Ford?
driving one of those.
Is that why he's going so long?
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. That was
yesterday.
He's recuperating today.
He got to go play with the GT500 and the Ford GT.
He went
Andre,
from
if you're
Ram
watching this,
to
I have
Ford
a
in the
finger
same week.
for
Wow.
you. Okay.
Did he run into a tree? He does that. He runs into trees.
No, he drowns them. He also gets in the water. There may be a U-boat running around with the name Ford on it, and that's Andre.
Well, he rode a snowmobile on a tree, and I knew that he knew how to do that.
But just to get back to this topic for a second, we're talking about useful farm trucks. I mean, just having two-wheel drive, lighter, more fuel efficient. You don't necessarily need four-wheel drive all the time, but to have that locking rear diff, if you do get in a little bit of a tough patch. Joseph Bill commented earlier, I wanted to bring it up, that folks used to weld the diffs back in the day.
Yeah,
and then kind of get that effect.
Yeah, and that's great for pulling. Welding them together. Basically.
Welded them together?
Yeah, so you basically...
and that oil catch on fire?
How do you do all the time?
There are a couple different types.
But you know what? That's how my ATVs are. They're solid rear end. There's no split. And, we've got 3 4-wheel drives and 1 2-wheel drive. And that 2-wheel drive, I can go anywhere the other ones can as long as I have momentum.
Yeah.
As long as I don't stop or slow down. I'm really impressed with some of these 2-wheel drive ATVs. And I'm sure the range, we got to get one, go play with it.
Yes.
Jump Moab.
Yes.
Fly out there and...
I want to go back to the dunes, that place you like to go to.
Yeah, I was there last week.
Were you really?
Yeah. There was moose. And we got pictures of baby antelope.
Oh.
You hardly ever see a baby antelope. It's awesome.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. So, let's move on.
Page number 2.
Well, actually, we want to talk about the Toyota Tacoma, which has a TRD off-road package.
Is that on page 1?
That is still on page 1. That's all right. I got it.
Okay.
You can get the 2-wheel drive version for about $3,000 less than the 4-wheel drive version. So once again, big savings.
Yeah.
They fit an automatic limited slick diff in there rather than the selectable locker, but that's still pretty good. and there's no multi-terrain select or crawl control. That's only available on the four-wheel drive models.
So that's pretty close. That's what Ford was over 5,000, or over
This is
3,000.
3,000. Still, for Toyota, that's a savings.
Yeah.
Chevy Colorado ZR1, sorry, Z71.
Z7. I didn't know they even had that in two-wheel drive.
Z71 two-wheel drive model, $3,200 less than the 4x4.
Holy cow, it's a bargain.
Yep,
But it's only a little four-banger.
Can you imagine, though, if Chevy had a ZR1 version of a Colorado, made a racetrack, like put a 6.2 V8 in it?
Well, that's what I want.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Manual transmission, too.
Yeah, you get the 3.6 in it, I guess, or the Duramax. Now, that should get you some fuel mileage. Get that with the Duramax and two-wheel drive.
The thing is, once again, this is for the bargain hunter. This is the person who wants an awful lot of stuff without having to get all the crap. Well, and it's not such a bad idea. And you get the Z71 off-road suspension, automatic locking rear diff. That's the whatchamacallit?
The
G80, whatever it is.
But well, that's cool. But you know, those that means you have so many less parts to worry about. No transfer case, no front axle, no hubs. My gosh,
all that drag is eliminated.
You can't wear out a two-wheel drive truck. You just can't do that.
Well, that we know for a fact that a two-wheel drive truck with a four-cylinder engine, like the little mid-sized trucks, will go to 300,000 miles.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah. There's just nothing to break down. I love them.
But they're not as awesome as four-wheel drive, and I know that. But now, look at this one. Check this out. You want savings? Nissan Frontier Desert Runner, about $6,500 cheaper.
This one, this one really threw me, because this isn't a 2019 truck. But if you look at the 2019 truck and you compare the Desert Runner to the Pro 4X, you get the same wheels, you still get Bilstein shocks, you get most of the stuff that you get with the Pro 4X, you just don't get four-wheel drive. And you also don't get the Rockford Fosgate audio system. I could care less.
Oh my gosh, 10 speakers. You don't get the 10 speakers?
Nope.
Oh,
you just get a standard run-of-the-mill audio system.
What, 8 speakers? Well, there's not the same amount of skid plates. Which skid plate do they take
you
off?
don't get
Is it the one on the transfer case? Is that the one that's gone?
Guys, I want to quickly answer Mike Wolf's question about the Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah, good thing you caught that.
Yes, there have been some heavily disguised prototypes running around that we believe are the Grand Wagoneer, but we have no information on that vehicle. We're pretty sure they're testing them, and they seem to indicate that we're about a year away from really seeing what these things look like. That's what I'm thinking, and I think that that's basically what's out there.
You've seen those?
No, just the prototypes that are covered. So
it's got to be a pretty big unit on the road.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Be able to miss it.
Yeah, it's big. It looks like a Tahoe.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're talking about the Grand Cherokee.
Grand Wagoneer.
The Grand Wagoneer.
There's the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer.
Was this the Grand Wagoneer? Grand Wagoneer's big.
Right, it's based on a truck platform.
Hang on a second, though. Because the Grand Wagoneer prototype that I'm talking about, we just posted to TFL Truck on
there
recently.
you go.
There is a Ram prototype, or it's a Ram body, and we thought it was the Ram Dakota
until you see.
Well, until you see that it's about the same width as a Ram 1500. So it doesn't have the width or the track,
but there's
exactly
more.
The stance of
there's also bars that are coming down from the chassis into the back, which indicates that it's most likely not a pickup truck, but possibly a SUV, proper SUV. We've actually posted that before too. Andre and I have actually gone over that before, because I thought at first it was the Dakota or whatever they're going to call it in the future. Speaking of Ram, the Ram Rebel 4x2. It exists.
Didn't know that happened either.
Yeah, you can get the two-wheel drive Ram Rebel with the crew cab configuration for $3,500 less than the four-wheel drive Rebel. You still get the 33-inch Goodyear Wrangler Durachek tires, and you can either get the 3.6-liter Pentastar or the 5.7-liter Hemi.
Like you can in the, you can still get the 5.7 and 3.6.
Yeah, didn't know they had that either. Now, did that come out at the same time the Rebel came out?
Yes, it did.
Wow, did anybody know about it then? Because I had no idea.
Yeah, actually, and
Andre
they've been
knew.
selling a few. Andre knew. I knew too. Come on, I knew as well.
I had no idea.
The thing is with that one, that is another one that is tailor-made for the South and for markets that don't have, heavy-duty off-roading or heavy-duty snow. So it's been selling in Florida. It's been selling in California. I've actually seen a few of those running around.
Texas sells a lot of two-wheel drives.
Yeah, they do. You're right.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much all the same features except for having four-wheel drive. There is one more thing. I do not know, Zach, whether or not they have the EcoDiesel available for that particular platform. Don't know.
It will be the 2020 Ram 1500 will be available with the EcoDiesel, and as I understand, as Ram announced it, it will be available across the entire range. So it will be available on the Rebel. Now, I don't know if it will be available on the two-wheel drive Rebel, although I suspect it likely will be. But
Okay.
I don't know that 100%.
Now, one final thing, GM offers an off-road appearance pack. They have off-road appearance packages, but no actual off-road gear without switching to the 4x4 models.
Right, we just talked
Right,
about that
so
in
you-
the Z71.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
if you get a Z71 Silverado, let's say, you have to get it with four-wheel drive, or if you get, the Trail Boss or the GMC Sierra AT4, obviously those are four-wheel
Yeah, the Trail
drive
Boss
only.
definitely has to have four-wheel drive.
wow, Zach, you absolutely want us to talk about this Peter tune, huh?
Peter tune? What the hell's a Peter tune?
Look behind you.
We were talking
Oh,
about
Zach's in love with
yesterday,
this.
Oh, I've seen. I saw.
How can you not? Well, the thing is,
Nick
okay,
was sitting there videoing that thing. I
two
saw that.
things. I'm not the only one who's in love with it because we're getting plenty of emails about it. But
Okay.
two, how could you not love it?
I would
look
love
how
it if
cool
it were
is.
amphibious.
That
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm crazy that way.
It doesn't. Does it have? What's it got? Tires on? Now, this doesn't have a way to get out of the cab other than walk to the door, right? Because I don't see if you walk back to the crowd, you got to
What are
walk
you talking about?
outside.
There's the door right there.
Yeah, but I mean, don't you want to walk back
get
to
out of the
people?
cab,
You
you
could fall off and drown or going on the
Oh,
outside.
well, you see, you're worried because you're not a boat guy.
I'm not. I can't swim.
Yeah, see, so that's the
So-
thing. If Andre was here, he'd say, no, it's fun. You got it around, so okay.
So from information we have, and a couple people have actually very helpfully emailed in and given us a little bit more information about this truck. It's a guy named Jeff Foster. He owns a trucking company in Superior, Wisconsin. This is in Duluth, so it's right next door.
Uh-huh.
And what he basically did was took a Peterbilt 359, the cab, and he also had a 28-foot pontoon boat, and just kind of merged them together.
There you go.
It's a cool project.
Does it have a frame of the truck still under it? Or
No,
it's
no,
tied
I
to
don't
the
think
That
so.
I-
I think that is just
It's
the
pretty
shell.
much just the shell.
And
on
I'm
top
pretty
of a
sure that
pontoon
up
boat.
here in front is a barbecue
so
or
it
something.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
it ties to the sides.
It's a cool idea. I admit it's a cool idea, but I would like to hit a button and have wheels shoot out from underneath and then drive it up onto pavement and keep on
It'd
going.
be a James Bond
Hell
Peterbilt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I'm a fat James Bond, I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would really love driving Peterbilt.
Actually, I
Whoa.
just wondered because it's when you're out on the river or the lake or wherever. I just noticed he still has the air horns
Well, yeah.
from the.
Yeah.
original
Oh, I
Peterbilt.
hope those
wonder
are
if they
hooked
still,
up. I
if they
bet
still
you they are.
function.
And
Yeah,
it's got that
that'd be
little
cool.
Mercury on the back. Why didn't he put a great big one on the back?
Yeah,
It's
it
not
has
that big.
I think it's 90 horsepower Mercury
Yeah, it's a little
outboard motor
Mercury.
on the back.
I want some power behind my Peterbilt.
Yeah.
That's how my Peterbilt.
The last time you were on a boat, I remember being with you on a boat,
Yeah,
and you were
well-
totally fine with having about a 80 horsepower engine push you along.
Well, we weren't skiing behind it. We jumped on his other boat to ski.
Yeah, that's
You and
true.
your whole family were out there flying around in the inner tubes, and I was
Yeah.
up smoking my cigar on top of the pontoon with the old man.
Yeah, you were hanging with see, I had to hang out with the kids and the wife. And
Yeah, I don't do that
anymore.
So we have a few questions.
Man,
One I
so-
wanted to get to though was a comment from Serge earlier, is asking our opinion on the 2.7 liter EcoBoost versus the GM 5.3. And yes, do the chicken.
Do the chicken.
Oh,
the
the
chicken.
chicken. Oh, told me to hit the chicken.
I was going to hit the chicken.
Quit.
Okay. Thank you from Red7188. He wants to know, so what are the Class 8 trucks with 10-wheel drive?
No, Class 8 trucks are
That's the big
well, they're
boys.
they're either one drive axle or two.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still I think they're still classified as four-wheel drive. We have Dan Atkinson with us. He's
Class
much better
8,
at that.
Yeah, Class 8. Why would anybody have a single axle on a Class 8? Because that's the whole of its capacity. You lose a bunch
Well,
of capacity with only going with one
There
driver.
are two drive axles, but I know there are trucks where drive only goes to one of
Well,
the two
yeah, that's
drive
a tag
axles
axle.
or both.
Yeah, I got
Right.
tag
But the
axle,
steer
lift
axle
axles.
doesn't have any power going to it.
That tends to
no,
be the
no,
case,
that
yeah.
would be a conversion, and that's like a military 6x6. They have all that
Which is
stuff.
about where I was going to go with that. And the military
Yeah.
thing, that's a whole different thing, different axles
yeah,
and everything
yeah.
else.
I don't
in
know if
terms
that.
of-
Have to
So
look at the
Dan
numbers.
Atkinson says, yeah, they are usually 6x4 configuration. So
By the way,
to
have you
clarify
guys
that.
noticed?
With a twin screw. That's what we like. We like a twin screw on our Peterbilts, huh?
I was just letting the guys there talking about your vest. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a
Hey,
vest too,
well,
bro.
we're going to later on have a gunfight. We're going to get our 6-shooters out in the back, and we're going to Matt Dillon and Fest.
I don't
no,
have
Fest-
any 6-shooters. I just have pistols.
Well, I brought my truck along.
Oh, okay. You're
ready.
set. I have automatics.
I'll give you. Yeah.
It doesn't really. It's not fair.
You need an automatics. My little single 6 might do something.
Okay.
So
all
to
right.
answer
Talk to the
the,
45 and.
the small EcoBoost versus the GM 5.3 question from
Oh,
earlier.
yeah, here we go. Yeah, the 2.7.
No, it's one of the questions from the live chat.
Oh, okay, go
Yeah.
for it.
2.7.
That was it.
So
Just wanted
he
to know.
wants a live chat question
Okay,
here.
because I can't read. I don't have a computer.
No, that's okay. Sorry.
I have
we
nothing.
are down to
I am
one.
without. I am.
So, did you find the question, Zach?
No, that
ask me
was the question
Oh.
from Serge asking our opinion on the 2.7
Oh.
EcoBoost versus the Chevy or GM 5.3.
Well,
wow,
yeah,
really
I guess
different.
you could compare them because the 2.7, it's a fast little truck, but I don't know the horsepower
Well,
and torque numbers
It's
on it.
325 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque on the 2.7 EcoBoost.
Yeah, see, that's a lot for a little baby truck like that,
And then
baby
it's
engine, and it does very well.
It's 355 horsepower and 383 torque on the 5.3.
Yeah, so we got more power in the 2.7.
So, but here's the thing about both the engines. Now, there are people who prefer a naturally aspirated engine over a turbocharged engine. You are talking about a twin turbocharged V6. So there is a big difference there. Now, you've
Yeah.
been driving your 3.5,
3.5, yeah.
right? And you like that?
Oh, yeah.
You like all that
Yeah,
power?
And I looked at a 2.7. 2.7 gets a little better fuel mileage, but it only tows 8,000 pounds. Well, I mean, I weigh 8,000 pounds. I got to have more capacity. Now, the 5.3, I'm betting, has a higher capacity than 8,000. Maybe it's be a little more, but that's a little difference. 5.3's been around forever.
Yeah.
They've been a good, dependable engine. I mean, I used to know that's 427 cubic inch, whatever it is. And those rascals, they do really well. And I've seen some problems with them heating up, pulling trailers, but it's a good, dependable engine. I mean, that's true. There's all these rumors about the coking, all the things with the twin turbos, and now they've gone to dual injection.
Right.
So they've eliminated basically everything everybody complained about on the EcoBoost. So I don't know, but that would be a tough choice. I know the 5.3 would kick its butt in a race. I mean, the 2.7 would kick the 5.3's butt in a race.
Especially at high elevation.
It's very fast.
Especially up here.
Yeah,
it's
it
a
surprises
screamer.
you. Yeah.
So just as a word of warning, you have to be careful what you say about Andre because he's watching the show from the airport in Detroit.
Andre!
Hey, Cocktail, I
Kiss
had
my
a
what?
show. Yay, Andre.
Is he in-
I
is he
got
in-
some
is he in
pictures
Dearborn?
for
Where is
you.
He's flying back from Detroit,
Oh,
so he's
wow.
at the Detroit
He's
airport.
on a plane. He ain't watching us. Don't give us that crap.
Yeah, he's watching.
How
Trust
can-
me.
how
he's
can he see on the
because he
plane?
misses you.
Oh.
Are you kidding? He's freaking out right now that I came up with the idea for the vest and he didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because he
that's
wants
true.
to. He wants to be Mr. Truck Jr. I know that. Come on. He's got a poster of you in his room.
Does he really?
Boy, is
Am
his
I
wife
naked
pissed
or
about
have
that?
clothes on in this poster? Which one is it?
I haven't asked
I
him
have
about
no
that
posters.
But
He does one of those things though, where he's like looking and yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Boy, it's getting hot here.
since we were talking about the 2.7, that's a good segue into
That's
that
going
other
into this one.
question.
That's why I was confused. Sorry about that. So, this is from Bob Jensen from Ottawa. I own a 2018 Ford F-150 with the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, and he likes it a lot. He gets around 3 or 4 miles per gallon better than he did with his previous Coyote F-150. And he says it feels faster. He enjoys towing our towing test with the 2015 2.7. And I was wondering if there are any plans to do the same test with the second generation 2.7 liter with its increased torque and its direct injection, which is like exactly what we were just talking about.
So we have done towing tests on our MPG loop
With the new one?
2.7. Yeah, he specifically was asking about doing an Ike Gauntlet with that truck. So
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it
it's a
is.
question of time and whether or not Ford actually gives us one to work
Yeah.
with. I hope they do.
well, and it's just a matter of the stars aligning. So we just couldn't do an Ike Gauntlet with the test the last time we had the truck.
Right.
So possibly in the future, if
We
get the
would
truck
like
again.
to. Let me put it.
Yeah,
I think that's a
yeah.
fair thing to say. We would really like to. That engine's very important, I think, to Ford because it's going in more and more vehicles. It is, and now that it has, it's more than what it was, and it's got more torque and everything else, and it's got more advanced technology within. It should be tested. So the question is whether or not we get it at the right time to put it on the Ike, but we want to.
Well, again, he's comparing it to the 5-liter Coyote, the V8.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Coyote will tow, like almost 12,000 pounds. So you're comparing 8 to 12.
Yeah.
So if you're going to tow, you're not using the 2.7. I mean, I wanted the 2.7 for fuel mileage and just zipping around town because they're fast little puppies. But it's not one that I would buy for towing.
No.
Unless you're towing a small boat like that, and I don't tow anything that small very often. But yeah, that's his question: is the Coyote versus the 2.7? It all depends on what he's towing and how much he's towing. And
So
that
Mike
answers
Wolf-
that question.
Mike Wolf says, "What do you guys think the two-wheel drive Ram EcoDiesel will get in MPGs?" We'll get to that. in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we are going to talk about Ram EcoDiesel, but there is.
Well, they haven't announced miles per gallon, right? The EPA
Not
hasn't
yet.
tested it, so
Right.
we can guess. We can do rumors.
So go to Jeff's question.
Jeff
we'll do that
Lutzi,
one, and then we'll talk
he's asking
about Ram.
about diesel SUVs. Have you ever heard anything about an SUV with a diesel engine option? They did have them before, Jeff, but they kind of all disappeared, including BMW.
Yeah,
my
there
wife
was a
and
lot
I.
of 'em.
Yeah, my wife and I have 4 daughters. Ooh, sorry, bro. And they're obviously not old enough to ride in the front seat of the truck yet.
They were ranging between 1 and 6. So
God, it's just, yeah, bless you,
Young
man. They've
children,
got-
yeah.
Oh, gosh. 3 in the back, 3 up front, and crew cab truck would be uncomfortable to say the least. We have looked into buying older model Excursion.
Yeah, Excursion!
Those things are massive, but we're worried about them being 15 or 20-year-old vehicles. I totally get that. Our current vehicle is a 2011 Chevy Suburban with a 6-liter in it. What I really need is any car company to provide an SUV with a diesel that can tow 9,000 pounds plus. Also, have you heard anything about the Expedition that do you think the Expedition would tow 9,000 pounds through the Southwest U.S. and the mountains?
I do.
Yeah.
I think
there's
it's
no
no
problem.
Technically,
We
yes,
towed a lot of
but-
trailers with that Expedition, and it does really well.
Yeah, it does really
It's
well.
a 3.5 EcoBoost. But you know, too, back to the Excursion, they came out with a 6-liter diesel.
Yes, they did.
And now in Colorado, we talked about this I think last week, there's 4 or 5 companies I know right in this area that take Excursions and other vehicles, most Excursions, and put Cummins diesels in them. And you can get something like that if the truck was rebuilt, you know, go through the whole thing. So it's great. I mean, that would be such a cool rig, and it'd get good fuel mileage.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm going to hazard a guess that this guy is married, and as such, explaining to his wife, yeah, we're going to bring it in, tear it out, and put in another engine, spend an extra 10 grand on it, and then we'll have a great running vehicle. I don't think that's going to be easy to do.
Why would he explain it to his wife? Is that what you do?
Yes. Why do you think my knees are raw from begging and
Yeah,
scraping?
Well,
I'm the king of my castle.
Nathan's
so
wife is she who must be obeyed.
That is exactly her name. And here's the thing on that. Now, first of all, there are a lot of rumors running around about up-and-coming SUVs that may have diesel engines in them because half-ton trucks now have all these diesel engines available for them. That's including the Chevy Tahoe, possibly the Suburban.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of stuff about those vehicles possibly having those powertrains. The thing is, I would recommend, if you're actually serious about this, maybe look at the Ford Expedition.
That's. I think that won our contest last year for the.
It's just a
It was
beast,
our
and it's-
winner we picked, and I think it is. And I've driven several. You get that long one. I mean, goodness, that middle seat is adjustable. It is a really good family hauler.
Well, that too, and if you get the Expedition Max, you can actually tow up to 9,100 pounds. That's its
9,100
tow
pounds.
capacity.
It does
Right.
very well, and actually they've tuned that engine. I think there's one model of that has that Raptor engine. Which one is it? Is
That's
it
the highest level one. The
yeah,
Platinum?
it's the
Platinum.
Platinum.
Yeah. See, that's a fast truck, and it shifts so well, grade shifting. You know, we discovered that with Ford. There's certain engines that they'll make them grade shift really well, and certain engines they won't. And it may be the same 3.5, but they've done different things with the programming and all those things. And it's the one we drove just really did fantastic in amounts for coming down the hill and going up the hill.
Yeah, that one doesn't put out quite the same amount of power and torque as the Raptor does. It's effectively a detuned Raptor engine. It does 400 horsepower and 475.
It's impressive.
Torque,
though.
I think it's still really good.
It's the
Yeah.
fastest
It still
SUV
hauls.
we've driven
Yeah.
in its size and category. So that would be my recommendation. But yes, we're hearing rumors, but nothing confirmed, that diesel engines may show up in some fairly large SUVs in the near future. And remember, and we're about to talk about this, the EcoDiesel's back. And that engine has already been in the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now that's not big enough for you. However, there are other Jeep and FCA products coming out that may have that powertrain as well. So something to think about.
Well,
So
is that in the new one? The 3rd generation is in the Grand Cherokee?
we don't know about that yet. That they haven't
Well, they
officially.
are. Yeah, FCA is in the pretty near future going to redesign the Grand Cherokee. So I'm willing to bet, you know, again, it's not confirmed, but I am willing to bet that it will have the new generation EcoDiesel as an option.
And we know that's going in the Wrangler,
Right.
and the Gladiator.
That's got the most torque in the class right now.
right. It's going to be a torque
Of course,
beast.
if you're the last one to the race, you got to be the best. You got to do all those things. You can't come to the race and be, lowest towing and lowest
I
torque.
agree, and that brings us to our next topic. let's, if you're cool with that, go into the next topic there, boss. And that is 2020 Ram 1500 Eco Diesel, which makes 260 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. It comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission, but we do not know what its fuel economy is yet. However, we do know what the competition's fuel economy is. Yeah. So how does it compare with the Ford Power Stroke and the GM's Duramax? Well, the Ford Power Stroke is 250 horsepower, 440 pound-feet of torque. Right. Comes with the 10-speed auto, and its fuel economy is up to 30 miles per gallon on the highway with the 2-wheel drive. The Duramax, 277 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, so more. Yeah. And it also has a 10-speed auto, and that is up to 33 miles per gallon on the highway.
Yeah, that's kind of the edge on the other guys, is they got the 10 speeds, and Ram has the 8-speed. But they've had that 8-speed now for a few years, and they seem to like it. It's in the well, I don't know if it's the same 8-speed, similar to it. It's in the Ram Power Wagon.
Yep.
And so they're staying with 8. I mean, I've heard Toyota's coming out with a 9-speed. Everybody does this different thing, but you know, you got on the half-ton size, these sizes here. That's the same factory that Ford and GM use the same basic 10-speed.
That is correct. They have different. They like to say that they have different tuning or software. That's what Ford and Chevy say, even though they co-developed that one.
Right.
But the thing is, let's say you're FCA. Let's say you're one of the guys at FCA. Imagine that.
Do I have to speak Italian?
No, you can be a good American boy. I got a couple American boys running around.
I know how to say spaghetti.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, they got a couple.
You got to do the chicken real quick before you get to your point. We have Parnell Robertson just says, wish the new 3-liter diesel truck still offered a manual transmission option.
Hell yeah, I wish it did too. We were just talking about that yesterday.
Oh, I remember now.
You are just a cranky old man sometimes. Yesterday I had on the live show, I was doing it solo, and that's what I was talking about, manual transmissions.
Well, you're a manual guy.
I am.
I don't like work. I don't like manual labor. That's what that is, manual labor.
I like to stir my own coffee.
You like to play that pole, don't you?
Hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do.
There's very few things I get satisfaction out of life. Cigars, coffee, and manual transmissions.
Yes. Well, I did when I was a kid. Now I like the good life. I don't want to do any work. I want the truck to do all this. I have to figure out what I'm doing, what I need, let it shift, and I just sit there and smile.
But let me ask you this, and I bet you the guys out there are curious as well. So you now know that the best out there on the highway is 33 mpg on a 2-wheel drive vehicle. Now we know
diesel,
that they have shutters and all these other things that they do in order to get the very best gas mileage out of the Ram, at least in the past.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that they're going to do everything they can, including changing the gearing around, to make sure that that Ram, by maybe 1 mile per gallon, outdoes the Chevy?
It could be, because now they got so many modes, like Ford, like on my EcoBoost. I can put it in econo mode, whatever that is, and it gets me about 1 to 2 miles a gallon better. I can put it in sport mode, and it loses all that. So I'm sure they can do all that. That's what it's all about. They know how to, your driving habits, all those transmissions are learning transmissions. They can figure out what you're doing, and they will find that best gear. Now, manuals, that used to be a big thing. They got better fuel mileage. Right. And when I was selling trucks, the guys in the mountains would not buy an automatic. They wanted control coming down the hill.
Hell yeah, they did.
Shift. Even if they burnt the clutch out, they wanted to shift. But now, new ones, they actually lock up the torque converter like a clutch and pressure plate, like a manual transmission. They do all that stuff. Plus, they have.
Hit your chicken again.
But are you okay, Ralph?
I don't get to see that happen as often as Andre does. I know Jeep will. This is from Nick Bryant. Thank you, $4.99. We really appreciate that. I know Jeep will be coming out with a Grand Wagoneer. But what is the chance of Ram or Dodge branded larger SUVs, such as a Ram Charger? Haven't heard anything about that. Thought that they would do it. Don't know if they're still going to stick with it. So
we're sitting here hoping they'll do it, but the likelihood is pretty low.
Right. They haven't released anything official about any of that stuff. And more importantly, we've looked at some of the future plans that they have released. Yeah. And nothing about a full-size SUV coming out from Ram or Dodge. So
Mitchell Long says Ram Charger would be lit. I agree. And at this point, it's good to have competition for the Bronco.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, I think if there is a time for FCA to do it, it would be in the relatively near future to compete against Ford.
Well, FCA surprised us before.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We know that Ford Bronco's coming. We know the baby Bronco's coming.
Yeah.
We know these things are happening, but it's a question of exactly what they're going to have in terms of power, and it could be impressive. So.
Well, that's it. The Durango's the only one, isn't it, on the Dodge side?
Yeah, that's it.
Jeep has like, what, 20 different SUV configurations? They have all kinds of stuff. And so they may need to add something to that Dodge line. But now, what was you saying about, I might, from Italy, you were telling me some scenario, and I probably totally...
No, we were talking about that. So you'd be able to, with these modern transmissions, bump up that MPG. Maybe you lose a little bit of power or something like that. But in order to beat Chevy by even 1 MPG, so you have on the pissing contest, you're winning it. You'd want to do that if you were FCA, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. I'd put some modes in it. I'd figure out what to do, and maybe even call it a two-wheel drive off-road course. I may have an option for whatever this thing's called, and a two-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Maybe they tear out the interior and put in some sort of lighter weight, cheaper interior, and all of a sudden they've saved 100 pounds, and all of a sudden an additional 1 mile per gallon on the highway.
Well, yeah, nobody's in that class. Nobody's got an aluminum frame. Why not do that? I mean, I've seen some semis with that.
An aluminum frame would be extremely expensive.
Think it would?
Yeah, but maybe they put on an aluminum hood. Maybe or lighten that aluminum hood.
Well, Russia's building some plants over here, and they'd have some really cheap aluminum. There's one going into Kentucky.
Right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I heard about that.
Pretty soon aluminum may be cheap as steel. I mean, I can see that coming.
And with that, we are nearly at the end of the broadcast. So, hey, Zach, anybody else we need to answer?
Oh, we did not ask Earl. Earl! We didn't answer Earl's question.
We'll get to it next time.
Next time?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Dan Atkinson was saying, get a little trivia question there. I'm looking at the Jeep factory right now. Where am I?
Jeep factory in Ohio?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We actually went out there. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Although that probably won't be the only Jeep factory. I say probably won't be the only Jeep factory for long, because they're supposed to build the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer at the Warren, Michigan plant alongside the Ram 1500.
Right. In fact, right now they're supposed to be retooling it, from what I hear.
They're investing heavily in that plant to accommodate production.
The thing is, right now they can't build enough Jeeps. If it has the name Jeep on it, worldwide, the sales for FCA are doing extremely well. And honestly, between Jeep and Ram, that's the only thing that's really keeping FCA above water. And that's the truth. I mean, Fiats are not selling. Dodges, well, not many of them are selling, except for the Journey. So let's continue this another time. But thank you, my man. I enjoyed hosting with you.
Yes.
Andre, sorry you're not here, even though you're on Mustang, you bitch. Okay,
that's a car. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's
no big deal.
The most powerful car this thing's ever built.
Beat the Mustang? Well, it's not better than the Corvette, though, is it?
I don't know. Could be.
Wow, that'd be exciting.
Could be.
Can we get 2 of those and race them up the Ike?
I wish we could. Okay, and with that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, this turns into a regular video later on. We'll jump back on there and answer a couple more questions. But you'll see us, I believe, next week, right, Zach?
Yep, that's right.
But we will never turn regular.
Regular?
That's what you just said.
That's what brand is for.
A regular.
See you guys.